And we are live. Welcome back to the Pistons Jack YouTube channel. Today's show is a post-game show recapping the Pistons' third win at the NBA Summer League against the Miami Heat, where, as you can see across the bottom there, they won by 20 points, 108 to 88. I believe they led the entire game, wire to wire. We'll get to individual player performances, and we'll talk about what's left at Summer League. But before we do, I normally have fans up on this show, but for today, I've probably got a 20 to 30-minute limit on the show today. So I don't think we will have time to bring up guests. So this will be a quick recap show, but I appreciate everyone tuning in. And anyone that watched that game today, this afternoon, for me, it began at 6 a.m. this morning on Friday. You are an absolute Pistons sicko, and I love your commitment and dedication to Pistons basketball. But let's get into the game. I'm sure as well, if you guys have any questions, any comments, that kind of thing, drop them in the chat and I'll get to them after I share my thoughts on the game. But I will be honest, I missed probably the first 6 to 7 minutes of this game, but I was listening to it once again while I was on my morning walk. I didn't get back home in time, but for the most part, I watched this entire game. And the first thing I just want to note is, in case people are tuning in that might have missed the game, Ron Holland didn't play, as I kind of expected. And I think a lot of people expected after his third game against the Timberwolves the other day, where he had 22 points, played another solid game. Not his best game at the Summer League, but another solid game. The Pistons shut him down. And the other thing I should just mention is, before I get into the game too much, is the Pistons still have one more game to play. They're not going to make the semifinals. There's still 8 undefeated teams. So I don't even know the scenario where they can make it to the top 4 and play in the semifinals. So the Pistons will play a 5th game, which I assume will be announced at the end of today. And that'll be on either July 20th or July 21st, I believe. So there is one final game, but like I said, Ron didn't play today, and I definitely he won't play in that 5th and final game. In the past, that 5th and final game has been for players who are looking to either find another G League team. It's end of the bench players on these G League teams. That's where they typically get their run, their burn in the 5th and final game. So I would be surprised if Bobby Clintman plays in the 5th game. Not saying he doesn't need to, and it wouldn't be good for him, but I would be surprised if any NBA rostered players like Bobby. I wouldn't even be surprised if Dennis Jenkins doesn't play in that 5th game, but we'll see. I'm still trying to decide whether I will cover that game or not, but we'll see what happens. But let's get into this game. So the first player I think I want to start off with is, I think I'm going to start Bobby Clintman. I think Bobby was the Pistons' second best player today, but Bobby really struggled in games 2 and 3. And I was really hoping he could have a productive game 4 today, mainly just for his confidence overall. I think at the end of the day, you're seeing Bobby's limitations, and I think that's a good thing, like at Summer League. I think it was for people that had Bobby penciled in as the backup 4 to start the season. I think that was always too much to ask of him, especially for a guy that missed like half the season with a hip injury. And then, I think Bobby, the tools are there. You can see the vision for him long term as a backup 4 if he gets it all together. But I still think for a playoff team, a team that has aspirations of I think can be top 5 in the East next season. I think it was always going to be a huge ask for Bobby to be that backup 4, and it's due to some of the limitations he has athletically, strength-wise, but he really struggled in games 2 and 3, particularly against the Timberwolves, who I thought they're 4-0. They've probably been one of the best teams at Summer League. They brought that physicality, that aggression, that athleticism, everything that kind of can expose weaknesses at times. So he really struggled in game 3. So it was nice to see him today have an efficient game. He had 20 points, 64% from the field. Big thing for me was knocking down his threes. He got up 6 threes. knocked down half of them. He even got to the line a few times, had a nice block, couple of steals. And yeah, I just thought in 26 minutes, this Miami team, they really didn't play. Um, I think they played their rookie from this year, who I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but Kalel Ware didn't play. Um, and I assume a couple other their players. So look, I'm not going to be up here saying Bobby's back. He's get him in the rotation or anything crazy. Like, he did what you would expect a player like him to do against a team, um, with the talent like Miami had tonight. But nice to just see for his confidence, him knock down some shots. Oh yeah, shout out to team to beat Miami Heat, Pal Larson or Pele. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry, but that was the other guy who didn't play. Awesome for Bobby's confidence to have that type of game. And I think it's just, if his summer league's over, like I said, I think he can play in that fifth game. I think he could have another game where he gets his confidence up, but I do think he will be shut down. I think last year he played 4 of the 5 games as well. So we'll see. But wanted to lead off with Bobby. I think coming out of this, the positive is, I think he and the coaching staff definitely know his areas for improvement. I think from my perspective, it's adding strength. Like, I just think with because Bobby, I don't know if he's grown, but he looks so tall out there at Summer League. Like, he looks like a legit 6'10". So with his height and maybe lack of vertical burst, like, I do think the key for him is adding strength. So he can drive and use, because I think he's got the frame. He just needs to add muscle so he can drive. And because, like, the Timberwolves, for example, in that game, like, they just played him for the pass. Like, teams, like last year at Summer League, he was able to expose teams because he was a second round pick, kind of came in and, like, teams didn't really know about him. It felt like this year, like, I don't think teams heavily scout, but it felt like it was like, all right, every time Bobby drives, he's not looking to score. So I think if he can add some strength, and that will really help him on drives to be able to just move his defender and drive towards the rim. And I think adding a floater would really help his game as well. Because even tonight, whilst I thought he played well, there's a couple of times where he drives, jumps, and he kind of just looks to pass, or he chucks up a tough look. If he can add like a nice floater and add some muscle, I think that will go a long way in helping him get to his peak potential, at least with the Pistons. But let me know your comments, thoughts on Bobby's game. Appreciate everyone in the chat. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting many to tune in today. So appreciate you all. I'll go through the comments in a minute. But I want to talk about my player of the game for the Pistons, Dennis Jenkins. 16 points, 10 assists, only 3 turnovers. I think he had 8 assists at one point to 0 turnovers. Got to the line 11 times, only shot 3 of 11 from the field, but like, I thought he played within the flow of the game. I think behind Ron, he has definitely been the Pistons' second best player. Only 26 minutes tonight. Once again, not sure if he plays in the 5th game, but he's been really impressive. He had a bit of a down game against the Timberwolves, like a lot of the team, really, because the Timberwolves fielded like a really good summer league team full of NBA talent. But I think on the whole, what we've seen from Dennis is he's going to be a two-way player for the Pistons. And if they are struggling with playmaking early in the season, whilst I don't think Dennis will be the solution come playoff time or long term, I think that's definitely a guy you can give some burn if, Marcus Sassa's struggling a little bit, if like it's just the Pistons are really struggling for guard play. I think Dennis is not only a guy that can come in and get some buckets. I think he's shown like a playmaking ability that maybe Marcus Sassa doesn't have. And I think some of it just comes from Dennis probably being a bit taller, a bit more athletic. He's, at least at the summer league level, which is certainly not the NBA level, he's shown a really good ability to drive, hit a pull up, but also drive, kick it out, and just make the right reads. So I think he's a big winner of summer league for the Pistons. And I still think, like I said, Ron was the best player for Detroit, but Dennis really wasn't far behind. Even if Ron's numbers are a bit better, I just feel like Dennis's overall floor game, he looked like a tier above on this Pistons summer league team for much of it. So I know a lot of the fan base is really happy with how he performed. And I just love tonight. Like he was like talking trash, like after some of those M1s, I think it was in the third quarter, like high five. And I think there was some Pistons coaches or officials along the baseline there. Like he was into it. I'm not sure. I think it might have been number 65 on the Heat was like grabbing his jersey and they were going at it a little bit. And I appreciate that and I love that because Dennis like getting into it like that. That's the mindset you need. I think at any level of basketball, but for a guy like him trying to make a full time roster in the NBA and with Detroit, like I just love to see him fighting, and it just fits in so well with what the Pistons are trying to build culture wise and have already established. So shout out to Dennis on another exceptional game. Who else should I go to next? Let's go with Dawson Garcia. I don't think I've mentioned his name on one of these post game streams, but he was a guy on my summer league preview probably a week ago now. I did cite out of Minnesota. I think played 5 years at college. Uh, I'm not 100% sure what his position is at the NBA level, but he is a guy, a stretch big that can shoot it. And tonight, in only 18 minutes, didn't miss a shot, 5 of 5, 2 of 2 from 3, 5 boards, had a nice block, plus 20. Pretty sure he got a flagrant, might have got a technical in there as well. But yeah, I'm really impressed with him, and he's a guy in Game 5. I'd love to see him get 25 minutes because, or more. I'd be really intrigued to see what he can do. He was one of the 3 or 4 undrafted rookies the Pistons signed immediately after the draft. So I'm not 100% sure if that means he'll be definitely on the cruise, but obviously there's an interest there in seeing what he can provide. And yeah, I'm not going to say he's going to he's going to be playing minutes for the Pistons next season, but he is his skill set at least. I can see why Trajan had an interest in him because I still think long term, even with JD and Stu on the roster, Detroit need to find a stretch big of some sort. Maybe it's a backup 4 position, like maybe it's Bobby, but like I still think they need a stretch big that can come in and play minutes regularly. And I'm not saying it's Dawson Garcia, but I can see why Trajan has an interest in a player like him. Yeah, he was solid tonight. Like I said, didn't miss a shot. I like that he got a flagrant, and I think he got a technical, or maybe Bobby got the technical and he got the flagrant. Either way, like he was into it, and yeah, I think I just really enjoy that, especially at summer league when some of these games are a bit of a grind to watch. Uh, Tolu Smith, I've spoken about him a fair bit. I don't think he really played much in the second half. 4 blocks tonight. I've been interested. I feel like he's leaving a lot of points at the table. He seems to miss some easy putbacks, which I just feel like with the cruise he was making all last season. Like 3 of 9 from the field. I think it should have at least been 5 of 9, maybe 6 of 9. He just missed some easy ones with his left hand, I thought. But he's been super productive. Before today, I think he put up, I mean, he still put up double digits today, but I'm pretty sure he scored 15 or more in 3 games. So Tolu's been fun to watch for sure. And once again, he's a guy on a 2-way with the Pistons. And I think as your 4th big on the roster, he's 6'11", and he's pretty imposing. He's nice to have on the cruise. And then maybe I'll go to last player I'll talk about, then I'll go through some comments, guys. But Chaz Lanier, it's been a bit of a weird summer league for Chaz. Like, I can't say I'm surprised, good or bad, with his play, but I must admit, so when the Pistons drafted Marcus Sasser back in 2023, I know he was picked 25, but and Marcus has a different game to Chaz, but they both came in. Chaz 5 years at college, Marcus 4 years. They both came in as established players and established players that on the offensive side can score the ball. And I remember Marcus in the first couple of games probably didn't pop, but he had the 40 piece. And I want to say in like one of the other games, he you could see the real scoring mentality with him. I'm not saying I ever expected Chaz to score 40. Maybe even I didn't expect him to score 30, but I will be honest, I probably did just expect him to have at least one of game in the 4 where he hits like 5 threes and you see him flying around hitting movement threes, maybe a pull up here and there on the mid range, and you just go, oh, yeah, I see the vision. I'm not out on the draft pick at all. Like, I still believe in the shooting. The form's legit. You look at what he did with Tennessee, like, this guy can shoot the ball. But I think I have probably just been on the more disappointed side just with his performance through 4 games. Um, yeah, like you said, a couple of steals tonight. Like, I probably haven't watched these games closely enough on the defensive side to, like, really make a lot of judgments, but at least offensively, like, it's just I probably just would have expected him to have, like, a game where he scores 20, and I know the counting stats don't always matter, but it just felt like a lot of the time I didn't realize he was out there. And maybe, like, in thinking about it, so I was thinking about this during the game, he is playing with Bobby Clintman. He was playing with Ron Holland, even Dennis Jenkins. Like, those 3 guys soaked up a lot of usage. Not saying Chaz would have, you want him to have the ball in his hands a lot. That's not really his game. But even Tolu Smith being on the roster, like, he kind of was the 5th guy most nights, even the 4th guy tonight in terms of um, it just felt like being a part of the offense. So maybe he's a guy at the NBA level, if he does get spot minutes as a rookie, that, like, he'll thrive off playing with Cade, like a real, like a elite point guard, and he'll thrive playing off like a guy like Jaden Ivey, who's incredible at driving and kicking out and creating open looks that way. But yeah, it was just I think I just expected him to have one of those games where you go, oh yeah, yeah, I can see the vision for him at 23, 24 years old. Um, and I know we all know he's a shooter and that's going to be his role, but I just probably didn't have one of those moments where I left a game and was like, I'm like feeling really excited. And I know he's a second round pick and I shouldn't have high expectations, but just kind of forgot he was out there sometimes. So, um, but that's okay. That's fine. It's summer league. At the end of the day, I'm not going to lose my mind over any of these guys. That's why I'm still cool with Bobby, even if he struggled. Like, you figure out the weaknesses and what they need to work on. So I'm going to quickly go through some comments here, and then I'll touch on if some of these players don't get brought up in the comments. I'll touch on some of the likes of Zakai Ziegler. I thought, who was the center today? Maybe was it Cop? This is bad of me, but we'll touch on some of those other guys who I should expect to play in game 5. But we've got Tommy Herr in the chat. What's good, Tom? I know you were up early with me this morning, my guy. YouTube user, shout out to you. Appreciate you tuning in. What's Tom got to say here? Would be fun if Tobias suddenly suits up for the final game. Where are you even pulling this from, Tom? Oh man, Joe B, shout out to you, my guy. Hope you've been well. Kind of nice to see the Triad guys a bit today. I agree. No, fun to see them out there, and I think we'll see a lot of them in game number 5. And I can already see someone mentioning Zakai Ziegler, who we'll chat about in a second. Shout out to, we've got a Heat content creator or fan in here, team to beat Miami Heat. Appreciate you tuning in. Our hearts beat true. I'm sick of getting up early. Hey, I'm assuming you're in Australia. And I assume potentially you're in Melbourne with that name there. I agree. These games all starting at 6 or 6:30 this week has been killing me a little bit. So I hope that 5th and final game is a bit of a later start time. Here we go. Shout out to Matty. Matty Fresh brings up Sakai Ziegler. Has been fun to watch. I agree. He was like the first player the Pistons, at least announcement-wise, signed immediately after the draft, played on Tennessee. I think he was at Tennessee for 4 or 5 years, all-time assist leader, I believe. I think in his final season averaged like 13.7 and half assists or something like that. But he's been really fun. And today had the 15 points, 4 assists in only 11 minutes, got to the line 7 times. He's been really fun. You can see the vision with him. Like, obviously his limitation is something he can't fix with the height, but I love the aggression. I love the mentality. And yeah, no, he was really fun. He's been fun, and I like that. Even I can't remember if it was a game against the Rockets. I think it was game 2. Like, his driving ability at that height, he's got really nice touch with like these finger roll, almost like floaters off the glass, where he gets it high off the glass and it just drops in. So, no, there's something there with him. Once again, like I was talking with Dawson Garcia, like I wonder if uh, he will be on the cruise next season. I haven't, to be honest, paid a whole lot of attention to the undrafted free agents in the past, but I believe he does have ambitions of being in the NBA, so I assume he will want to go to a G League team. So hopefully he's on the cruise. I'm sure there's an intention there to sign him I reckon he can be a really fun player. B-ball from D92. What's up, Jack? Not much, my guy. It's early here in Melbourne, so yeah, we're just going to do a quick show this morning, recap this game, and probably forget about it, to be honest. For those that missed it, Ron, I do wonder if NBA TV or someone's going to post it. Ron was on the broadcast. I think it was in the second quarter. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but he spoke about the mentality of Detroit. There's some good stuff in there. I know Detroit fans will love just talking about Detroit versus everybody. He also spoke a bit about how he's been studying Cade's game. He highlighted like Cade's pacing and how he almost like he highlighted how Cade like his incredible pacing and how he can't be sped up by anyone. And Ron was saying, I thought it was interesting. He's like he kind of laughs about it sometimes on the bench, like he's just unfazed all the time. And I think that is one of Cade's best assets as a player. Is like I actually weirdly was watching some Pistons highlights last night. I think I somehow ended back up in game 2 against the Knicks. And yeah, even when like the Knicks would make a run, like, or he'd have a turnover, like he's just always the same demeanor, brings the ball up at the same pace, never rushed. And it was cool to hear Ron talk about that. And that's something he's trying to focus on, because in my video I did a couple of days ago, I think now, just recapping Ron Summer League, like I think the biggest growth area for him in terms of outside of the shooting and making that a consistent thing is his ability to drive, be under a bit more control, figure out his pacing, and not like, I think he's gotten better at this, but not always be going 150%. So like I said, something he's getting better at, but to open up his passing game a bit more, like maintaining a calm demeanor and not being able to be rushed up or that kind of thing is going to be huge for Ron's development, from going from like a starter level wing on a winning playoff team to like potentially, your third guy, if he can improve in that area. So yeah, the excitement for Ron next season just continues to build. What else do we have here? Tom, I haven't found these technical stats, Tom. I don't know. Were you able to find the technical foul stat for some league? I don't know, but all I can think off the top of my head, I know Ron got at least one tech. I reckon Bobby has gotten one or two. I know I can't pronounce our coach's name. That's bad of me, but I'm not even going to try. Pretty sure our coach, he got one today. Zakai Ziegler got one today. I feel like across the 4 games, the Pistons have had 5 or 6 techs. Plus, we had a flagrant. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're leading the summer league with techs, which is very on brand. Got a question here about Fontecchio. What are your thoughts on Fontecchio? He always dominated when he played the Heat outside of 3-point shooting. What is his best strength that he can bring to Miami? Ooh, I don't want to sound too negative here, but Tech is like a solid backup for at his best, I think, on a team who's like hovering around playing playoff. He came off foot surgery before last season with the Pistons, so I don't want to be too harsh on him, because I think that would have definitely interrupted his off season, and it certainly seemed to interrupt his shooting. Honestly, all you want Tech doing on offense is shooting threes. The biggest thing Pistons fans, and honestly I struggle with him in the past season, was every time he put the ball on the floor, it honestly was like a 50-50 chance of being a turnover. Like his handle, he just like struggled. It didn't matter who was defending him. The second he puts the ball on the floor, not only did it nearly get turned over, but if it didn't, it just feels like he has tunnel vision. And it's just a matter of what type of shot he's going to get up, and you can just hope. You have to hope there's no one there waiting to block the shot. But look, all you want Tech doing is moving and shooting threes on offense. If he can knock down threes, he's a solid player by your rotation. Defensively, and this is where I think maybe the foot injury might have held him back. I thought in his first season or first half season with the Pistons, he wasn't bad defensively, but he did feel just a bit slow-footed at times last year. So honestly, but he can be a solid rebounder if he gets the minutes. He is like 6'8", 6'9". So hopefully with a healthy offseason, he can get back to maybe where he was defensively before last season. But he's a solid player. He's a solid player. If you ask a lot of Pistons fans, they probably will say they're happy for him to go. Duncan Robinson is just a massive, massive, massive upgrade. But I think he can be solid for the Heat, and I think with like Coach Spo, like having a good coach like him, he'll help understand how to use tech best. So he can be a solid player, and I enjoyed Fontecchio on the Pistons. He's a good guy, definitely a good locker room guy. Obviously, I don't know him, but all the team loved him. He's a good vibe, and he'll be good for the culture and all that kind of thing. Appreciate the content, even though there's not much to go on. We're all Pistons fans, stuff and more. Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, we're going to keep trying to keep a video per day going out. Those 8 to 12-minute videos. I will have one after today. We might slow down a little bit because I don't want to just be talking about absolutely nothing. But the Pistons do still have to sign another player. So they have to sign at least one more before the regular season. You can't have 13 entering the regular season. So there should be a little bit more to come, so we'll see what happens. As well as we have the JD and Jaden Ivey extensions. Those are probably the 3 things to keep an eye on across the next 6 to 8 weeks. All right. I appreciate all the comments, my guys. Like I said, was not expecting many people to be in here at all today. So shout out to Devin watching this at work. I don't care. Let's go, Jack. Appreciate you, my guy. Jack is the man. All you guys are unreal. Love chatting with you all. Joe B's got some Bobby thoughts. Bobby's one of those guys that played as a guard growing up and has one of those big growth spurts. So he's less clumsy than your average 6'10" guy, but he's still working on that strength. I agree. I've spoken enough about Bobby, but I think you're spot on there, Joe. YouTube user. Bobby is very limited offensively. He's basically only going to be a connective piece, moving the ball, knocking down open shots, and getting rebounds. If he can be a plus on defense, he has a backup. Definitely. I agree. I do think he's been, like, even in that game against the Timberwolves, where that was probably his worst game, he still did have 12 boards. So I think I agree with you there, YouTube user. He's got to be a really solid rebounder at the NBA level. I think that comes with some strength as well, for sure. But the ability is there. And like I said, I don't know if he's grown at all, but he seems to look really tall at the Summer League this year. Maybe there's just not a lot of true 7-footers getting about, but he's definitely got the height. So let's see what he can do for the rest of this offseason. You should use that. Chaz is a player who needs to have all of his shots created for him by someone breaking down the defense. That's not how Summer League works. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I was kind of touching on towards the end of my little Chaz analysis earlier. I think maybe at the NBA level, playing alongside Cade and just better players in general, that'll open up more for him. So yeah, I'm not down or out on him as a prospect. I do see the vision with him. I was just more hopeful for him having like one of these really impactful games that can just to be honest, make you feel good at this time of the year. But I don't think it's going to determine too much long term for him and how his career pans out. Okay. I think that I'll end it on this. Yeah, Dame heading back to Portland. I was not expecting that. I think it was 3-year deal, around like 40 million. That's crazy. I think I saw the other day the Celtics were like rumored as a favorite to be signing him. Maybe that wasn't a legit thing, but interesting. Portland are a very interesting team. I guess they're in the West, so they're probably not a team that really concerns us too much. But obviously got Chauncey as the coach. 3-year deal with a player option and no trade clause. Wow. I wonder if he's going to settle into like a bench role, and the idea is for him to really help bring Scoot, help develop Scoot even more. But we'll see. Definitely wasn't expecting that signing today, but I think that's going to do it all Joe B, but Jack Bronze Tech was an accent, remember?